A few landmark events for the US stock market took place last week. However, whatever response traders made to these events, the stock indices are now trading at the levels of the last week. The equity market dipped in light of the policy announcements by the US Fed. Notably, market sentiment turned optimistic again after a short while. Having analyzed recent developments, we have come up with the fresh outlook. All three benchmark stock indices closed last trading week with losses. The Dow Jones incurred the heaviest weekly losses since October 2020. Wall Street was weighed down by concerns that the Federal Reserve might begin raising interest rates earlier than expected. In this context, the Dow Jones dropped to 33,000 points on Monday. Nevertheless, it perked up shortly after that. Now it is trading at near 33,900 points. The reason behind this dynamic is that yields of 10-year treasuries increased again after a plunge to a 4-month low. The index for the blue-chip stocks is expected to strengthen and trade in the corridor between 33,500 and 34,300 points. The S&P 500 is trading with a similar dynamic. The index closed last week almost unchanged. On Friday, it tumbled but regained footing promptly. Now the S&P 500 is trading at about 4,220. Wall Street was hit by sell-offs at the end of the last week due to fears about higher interest rates. Meanwhile, investors are cementing optimism about the US economy. Indeed, more and more households are through with social restrictions, despite ongoing concerns about a slow pace in the global mass vaccination. Analysts foresee a further robust economic recovery in the US, so the S&P 500 is likely to trade above the level of 4,250 a week later. The NASDAQ fell to the least degree on Friday, so it managed to rebound faster than other stock indices. It is now trading at about 14,150. Why did it happen? The thing is that shares of 70 companies out of 100 top companies included in the index appreciated last week. Experts predict the trend to continue. So the index of high-tech stocks is set to trade above 14,000 this week. And now let's try to figure out interesting trends in the shares of particular companies. To begin with, shares of the companies involved in the crypto industry sank 2 to 3% as China's authorities are extending restrictions on Bitcoin mining. Among the companies are Riot Blockchain, Marathon Patent Group, and the crypto exchange Coinbase Global. To the contrary, Albrand's shares jumped 2.8% after the company had filed an application with the Securities and Exchange Commission for splitting its business from Victoria's Secret. Interestingly, analysts have the bullish outlook, predicting more gains in Albrand's shares. Besides, it makes sense to take notice of Moderna shares, which ballooned almost 4% last trading week. The shares received a boost after the company had stated that 2 new production lines for COVID-19 vaccine should be added to its facilities. So the company is set to scale up its production capacities. This trading week, investors are alert to a number of important economic data and events in the United States. The economic calendar reminds us not to miss the ISM manufacturing PMI, home sales, and comments from several Fed's policymakers. Fed's Chairman Jerome Powell is due to speak in Congress on Tuesday. As you can see, high-tech companies again showed the strongest performance last week. In fact, they are a driving force of the whole market, as the high-tech sector is the only one to log growth, whereas the other key stock indices are trading lower. Nevertheless, analysts are ready for a new bullish wave in the US stock market. We will keep you updated on the latest developments. Stay tuned.